Hello, this is Ajmal. Today I'm going to talk about cloud migration strategies for applications. The 6 R's cloud migration strategies. What is the applications migration strategy? Comparison of R strategies, understanding 6 R's, how to choose the right cloud migration strategy. In general, the goal of assessing a large-scale middleware migration or modernization efforts are to predict the level of effort and cost, schedule the application migration, and handle conflicts. Identify all potential risks at a code, infrastructure process, or knowledge level. Predict the return of investment to make the business case. Identify and mitigate risk to the business. Minimize disruption to the existing business operations. What is the application migration strategy? The 6 R's, cloud migration strategy. What is retention? Retire, rehost, replatform, repurchase, re-architect. The application migration strategy generally refers to the process of migrating the whole application environment and its computing infrastructure. This is usually driven by business decision for cost optimization, finding more agility, or simply because of the update of all system. Here are some basic examples of general application migration. Migrate an application from one on-premise data center to another, from public cloud to a private cloud environment, or vice versa. From an on-premise server to a public cloud environment, migrating an application from one cloud provider to another. The most important part is to understand the cost versus time versus opportunity. The comparison of these 6 R's strategies. These 6 strategies differ in the complexity, opportunity to optimize, and effort, money and time. The graph should help you understand which of the strategies is easiest and which is more complex. Here you can see the opportunity to optimize, modernize, and containerize if needed. The effort, which is balance between cost, time, and the opportunity. When you see the comparison of the 6 R's strategy, you may find this path more helpful. Let me go through each strategies first, and then I could run our pathway using the following diagram. Let's say first, which is the retire strategy. After the application discovery with the client, you can also decide that you don't need these new applications in the future, so you're just going to retire them. This is just getting rid of them, as you're not going to use them anymore. Retain. You can decide to keep the application exactly as is before a re-evaluation sometimes in the future. An example of this app migration strategy is unsupported OS and the application. Legacy of the application that do not have a business purpose or justification for migrating to the cloud. Rehosting, one of the most basic of the migrating to the cloud, is simply to rehost something, and this is commonly known as lift and shift. This means to take your application or system, move them exactly as into the cloud environment. The approach is great for organizations that needs to migrate quickly. For example, data centers leases that are about to expire. For the majority of the application, this type of strategy is also first step because it's easier to optimize. Re-architect them once they're already running in the cloud. Examples may include moving MySQL database to an Azure AWS instances. This type of app migration strategy was used in our case study, which I might highlight in the future videos. The Pros of these strategies: the speed of the migration, reduced risk of migration, could be automated or assisted by tools which Azure, IBM, Google, Alibaba, AWS, or third-party tools natively support this migration. Migration of whole system database VMs with configuration. There are a few cons as well. You may not use particular services that give you operational advantage like managed database, Amazon RDS, DynamicDB, Aurora, Amazon Redshift, and so on. Potentially inherit performance issues or other problems. The re-platform. We also have re-platform, which is sometimes called lift and reshape, because you can potentially take advantage of some of the special capabilities of the clouds, servers or infrastructure. An example of this app migration strategy: take MySQL database, then deploy it using Amazon RDS or Azure database. Migrating your application to a fully managed platform like Elastic Beanstalk. Option to use the services that are close to existing infrastructure without requiring code change. No dependency on the OS, hypervisors, or underlying physical hardware platform. Opportunity to utilize modern OS and database features, functionality. In some cases, it is possible to use automated tools. The cons may include the requirement additional planning and the coordination, and these projects may be time-consuming and costlier. The necessary knowledge of these new cloud services. Let's understand the re-architect. Let me go through a basic definition of this. This is the most advanced application migration strategy. Put simply, it is a redesign of your application in a more cloud-native manner. In general, you create a serverless version of the legacy application. The example may include migrating your on-premises Oracle database to a PostgreSQL, which Amazon, Azure, Alibaba, IBM Cloud, and the Google Cloud may assist us. You can choose to modernize your monolithic application by breaking it down into a smaller microservices and leverage services like Amazon, AWS, Azure, and many other. This type of app migration strategy was used in one of our case study, which I could highlight during the other videos. Pros: highly increased efficiency, agility, and improved cost, eliminating dependency on custom hardware or proprietary technology platforms. The cons may be the careful evaluation of partners, vendors required. Re-architecting usually grows in time and effort. It requires a very good understanding of all the aspects of the application, compliance code, design, and so on. The sixth strategy is the repurchase. This involves abandoning the existing software that you have and migrating to a cloud-first application. This migration can take two forms: transferring your software licensing from an on-premise server to the AWS, Azure, IBM, Google Cloud, Alibaba, and so on, or completely replacing your current application with SaaS option. The solution can usually be found via AWS Marketplace, Azure Marketplace, Red Hat Marketplace. Example may include changing your web application firewall to one available on these infrastructure with managed rules, swapping a self-run email system for an online email as is service offering. The pros may include a reduced effort, increased speed of migration, and replace the legacy system with modern applications. Cons: it's a difficulty to understand the dependencies in your current system. Your team needs to learn how to administer a new cloud system. If you want to know more about, you may simply ask, so that I could create new migration strategies, the best practices in my other upcoming videos. So here you can see that the rehosting has two main diversions, which is manual and automatic here. Let me use a pencil so that you will have a better understanding of how the flowchart can be gone through. You see this is the rehost strategy, where you have a manual version or the automatic. During the manual version, you simply install it manually, configure it manually, deploy it, and validation and transition and production. During the automatic, these common methodologies can be used as a migration to one migration tool, and that could lead to your deployment at the end of the day. Re-platform is just determining the new platform, understanding, putting it to the migration, and again back to the cloud in the production environment. Repurchase might be for the new SaaS softwares, installation and configuration, and back to this production. Re-architect would include various terminologies like redesign and the app and its architecture, code deployment or the development, application, understanding the application life cycle management, SDLC, and integration, of course. Let's understand how cloud migration strategy or the best practices which Red Hat offers. Red Hat recommends as the following practices when planning and executing a migration or modernization strategies. And the best practices: create a centralized collaboration platform for information sharing. Comprehensive and accessible documentation is important so that the knowledge can be easily shared and to ensure that effort is not duplicated by solving the same issues twice. It is recommended to document the following items: a step-by-step guide for migrating or modernizing an application from scratch, a collection of solutions to known and encountered issues, information about the new platform, a record of changes made to specific pilot projects, reuse, automate, and standardize as much as possible. Consider reusing existing components instead of creating new ones. Automate process related to the application lifecycle, such as build, configuration, deployment, and test. And standardize and document software packaging format, configuration management, libraries, and dependencies. Use proven and repeatable methodology. The recommendation is to follow a practical approach and make as few changes as possible to get functionally identical application. Using this methodology involve Red Hat technical expertise early for the chosen Red Hat middleware components. This is crucial to make your migration and modernization of low risk, better ROI, predictable, efficient. Contact Red Hat Consulting for assistance. Let me go through three main methodologies which our Red Hat partners use. Migrate virtual machines, modernize application, upgrade to a containerized solution. Red Hat modernization and migration solution consists of three primary opportunities: infrastructure migration, application modernization and migration, container adoption. The solution are prescribed combination of products, subscription, consulting services, migrating tool, and learning subscription. Migrate virtual machines, infrastructure migration. The best use cases is that it shows 87% reduction in cost of IT infrastructure. The application modernization, It's simply, to put it in plain words, to upgrade from proprietary or outdated middleware to an open source platform and runtime with our application modernization and migration solutions. Our approach is to minimize the effort, time, risk, and helping to reduce application cost, improve operational efficiency, and boost developer productivity for faster software delivery cycles. And at the end, you can use the Ansible playbook for scaling. Upgrade to containers. This is to adopt the containers to accelerate innovation. The benefits may include, one of the case studies which Red Hat usually uses, the touchback. The shift from the virtual machines to containers is a big one. This also helps let's say, our container adoption solution helps your team choose target workloads, establish a modern container platform, and learn the skills needed to make it all scalable. The methodology which Red Hat uses in the form of best practices are discovery stage, design stage, and the deployment stage. This is more scalable approach than that helps you to incrementally plan and conduct modernization. In the discovery phase, we explore the technology, identify concerns, organization requirements, and challenges. Discuss options and potential approaches. In the design phase, we identify and mitigate the biggest risk from an application infrastructure process and knowledge perspective. Establish a strategy for the solution, prove the technology, and build the business case. The deployment is more like a scale. Deploy, scale the modernization or migration iteratively by executing the previously defined strategy according to a well-defined delivery model. Let's discuss this stage by stage. The discovery phase is when you gather all the stakeholders, decision makers together to understand the current state and the business drivers to determine the migration or modernization needs. In this phase, you explore technology and discuss potential approach. Identify the existing pain points, concern, requirements, and some potential challenges. Define the high-level business priorities and scope the assessment. Determine in what ways you want to modernize your application development and delivery to allow you to innovate more rapidly. Typically, this can be covered in a day or in a workshop with Red Hat experts. The design phase is when you identify all the risks, define strategy, and target architecture. Prove the technology and build the business case. This phase consists of the following steps. Assess, prove, pilot, and plan. In the assessment, examine the existing infrastructure, architecture, technologies, and application. Identify dependencies, knowledge, process, and lifecycle. Define the desired infrastructure, architecture, technologies, and applications. Determine the feasibility and potential risk. Draft a plan and provide rough estimates. Analyzing application using the Red Hat Application Migration Toolkit, Web Console, or CLI. Helps to determine dependencies, potential risk, and relative effort. In the prove part, we solve and document the identified technical risks, for example, high-risk items and issues with unknown effort. Build and shape the new platform infrastructure. Refine the estimate based on the outcomes. In the pilot phase, choose a small set of representative applications to transform. Finalize the target platform infrastructure as necessary. Update the documentation as the process is fine-tuned. This pilot consists of one or several iterations of the migration execution, which is scaling during the deploy phase. Use Red Hat Application Migration Toolkit Eclipse plugin to accelerate the code migration. In the planning phase, based on the outcomes of the previous step, sharpen the estimates and refine the project plan. Define the rollout strategy to be used in the deploy phase to complete the migration. Prepare and schedule the relevant technical enablement courses. The deploy phase is when you execute the plan the deploy phase is when you execute the plan, create in the design phase. In this phase, you scale the overall transformation process to complete the plan and bring all the application to their new production environment. The plan is executed in iteration to deliver value incrementally. With each iteration, you continuously validate against the plan and document findings to improve the next sprint. The use of the Red Hat Application Migration Toolkit plugin increases speed in each iteration. How to decide which application migration strategy to choose? This decision always depends on the specific of your requirement. Current application. If you have two or more applications, you could, for example, start with a simpler one and migrate them. And when you gain more knowledge and experience, migrate the more advanced application. Making the right decision also involves understanding how your new environment will operate. Once you get your data to the cloud and what the specific benefits of using a cloud environment are for your business or containerized microservices services. If you have any question, this is the end of the presentation. If you have any question, I'll be more than happy to assist you.